Okay, let's fix a few issues we created along the way. First, we're going to move the arrow spawn location to the attach point and the draw sound also to the attach point. They should not be under the arrow scene. Next, we'll go back to the event graph. There are a couple of these functions that we can delete. So we can delete the reloading one, we're not using that. Then we're going to go into the destroy function. Down here at the bottom, we can remove those two nodes, and then we're going to just add a if statement here, and we'll get the character and is it locally controlled. Hook that up to the statement, and then from the true part we will take off the holding of the cable, and then this entire part up here we can remove. We'll go back to the event graph. We can delete this per frame function here, and the attachments, as our bow is not going to have attachments. Here in the begin play, we can remove this event for the new held. We're not going to do this part. We can actually just remove the whole function and even the event call right here. Then we're just going to this function name update bullet spawn location. We are not using that function, so we're going to look for that. And there it is, and we're just going to delete that. We don't need it. Next, we'll go back to begin play, and then we don't need these nodes. Go back to the event graph. This MISC group here, looks like there's some things we can delete. So all of these two parts can get deleted, and we'll just compile and save. We've got a missing reference here. Comes from the reloading. We're not using this reloading function for our bow, so we're just going to check the rest of this function. There's a whole bunch of functions here that we probably want to delete, so we'll get rid of those. Next, we're going to go to the arrow mesh and just set the collision off, as that can cause some problems with the movement we have. Now we've got quite a few variables here that we can delete that we're not using. So I'm just going to run through these and delete the ones that are not necessary. Now I'll just check references on these variables before I delete them. If they're only in the ammo type check, then it means it's just a lookup and we don't need it. Otherwise, if I find a function that is using this variable and we no longer need the function, I'm just going to delete that as well. Next, we'll just go back to the event graph, the visual part, and it's right here at the end. And there are just 2 pins here that we forgot to connect. So from here in there, and then back here as well into the true. Right. Then we're going to go back to the show and hide arrow part. Let's just put the bow fire cue on the sound, the fire sound, and then we'll also, this arrow mesh is sometimes not valid when the arrow gets fired, so we just want to put some is valid nodes here. So we'll do one for the hide arrow and one for show arrow. Then in the damage timeline, we're going to do the same for the draw sound. So we just want to add some is valid nodes. We're just going to move these up a little bit. And the same down here. Okay, further down, we just want to get the character aimed fire animation. That one's going to be called Fire Arrow Montage. And we're just going to go in there. We're just going to do a little fix on the draw montage. I don't think it imported correctly, so I'm going to delete that one. So we're going to choose this fire primary slow altered, and then under create, we'll just create a montage. We'll call it draw montage. We'll open that up, and then here in the slot, you just need to set the slot name to upper body post AO. You can save that and close it. Now that should work. And then if we go into the event graph here by aiming, we just want to make this first person arms. I think we had it set as none. And this montage stop, we just want to put it at 0.5 blend in time. Those are all fine. We're going to compile, make sure everything's still working. And now we can go to this draw animation, and we're going to set the draw montage that we created a few moments ago. Next, we'll go back to the arrow projectile, the event graph for that, and we're just going to set these variables. Radius check should be 4, delay before gravity 0.1, your gravity scale should be 1, and projectile speed gets set, but we'll leave that at 0 for now. Arrow class also gets set on your item. Okay, now back to the master bow weapon. Just remember to set your durability. Mine was using 20 durability every time I fired, so bow broke very quickly. I'm just fixing that. Now we're going to get to the event graph visual, and we're going to set these component properties that we're attaching the cables to. So for the bow, we want to set this as bow idle, which is my socket that I'm trying to connect to. Yours might be different, but I will show you in a moment where I find this. And for the hand here, it's going to connect to the mesh, and it will be the middle right. Middle 01 right is the one I'm looking for. That's this one over here. And then we're just going to compile and save that. Then here on the bow, there's the bow idle. It's just the one right in the center by the strings. Okay, down here we just need to check this socket name as well. Mine has a small r, and in this socket name I have a big R, capital. So just gonna change that. Okay, bow idle is correct there. That is the one we checked from before. Now we're back at the visual part, and we just want to set this interp speed to 3. Compile that, save. And now we're going to go back to the arrow mesh and just hide that in game so it doesn't show up. Okay, back to the hand. So this is now for when you're holding the bow. So we're going to just add a socket here on the left hand, and we're going to call this one bow 1 socket. And then you can set that on your bow. It's very similar to when adding any kind of weapon. Just set the socket there. So just hold socket is then your bow 1, exactly as it is spelled on your skeleton. Okay, now we're going to go back to the bow, and because we're holding it in the left hand, we're going to rotate everything. So it's just a bit of rotations and moving everything back to where they should be, so it makes sense. So just we'll rotate the bow, rotate the arrow, move the bow a little bit so the strings actually form a straight line to the center, and just make sure that the arrow spawn location is in front of the bow from where we will be firing. Now we can go into the action segment. So here we just want to change this up a little bit so it hides and draws the arrows at different times. So we're going to hide arrow when we are not drawing or trying to draw. In this segment, we're going to now show the arrow. Again, when we are not trying to draw, we're going to hide. And here, when we are trying to draw, we will show the arrow. So now we will remove the places where we were showing the arrow incorrectly and hiding it incorrectly. But first, we'll add one more hide arrow here at the end. This is when your draw gets interrupted. So we'll just go back here. We don't need this hide arrow anymore, so we can remove that. This one we just added, so we'll keep that. This one we just added. This one we can remove now. We don't need that. And this one we just added. And that is the function call. So now we're going to do the same for the show arrow. So we'll just find the references in this graph. This one is no longer needed. This one we just added. This one we added. This one goes all the way through the bottom here. We don't need that. We're just going to double click there to add a rewrote, and we're going to delete that. And that is the function call. Okay, now we can carry on. This is the bow anim layers. I've just created a copy of the unarmed anim layers and use this one here. The only one we really need to set for now is this idle, which is this idle draw one. We'll get back to fixing the rest later. And then over here with your draw montage, just set the blend time here to 1. Yours might be 0.25. Set that to 1, otherwise it stops the draw animation. Okay, now we can go back to a simple bow is something we created from the master bow. So you can just follow the normal guide for adding weapons. This will be a child of the master bow item. And then just make sure when you set the item here that your holdable class is your simple bow, or whatever you choose to name it. Under the arrow type or the allowed ammo types, you can add your specific arrows here that it can use. Those also get created in very much the same way as you would normal ammo items. Then in damage, we're going to use the arrows damage settings, so we'll tick that one on. We'll use the draw damage timeline, and if you want to use the bow damage multiplier, you just set that there. We're not going to use that, so we can just compile and save that. Next, we're going to go to the draw sound. You need to tick off this auto activate, otherwise the sound will play immediately as you equip the bow. So you take that off, and then we can look at the post process effect. We've set that to on. So if you go here, that's a very simple post process you can add. It starts off at 0.4. You just set that to 1 and tick it on. Then just make sure that your blend weight here in the begin play is set to 0. Next, we're going to go master bow weapon on the damage timeline. And here we're just going to add the get trace spread. We're going to put that into the update crosshair with spread. Can compile and save. And just remember to set your UI on your master bow, and also if you have a different one for each bow, just set it there. Next, this false node should also be connected here in the damage timeline. It should go to the update crosshair with spread. Right at the end there. If we go into the update crosshair with spread, we just have to change this to -20 if you haven't done that already. Back in the damage timeline, that should be play from start, not play. And when we go to the projectile calculation here, it's one of the functions under master bow weapon. We're just going to go to this last area, this last part here. And we're going to change some connections here. So we're going to move this node out of the way. And we want to be going into this bottom part here. So we're going to move all of this. You could probably just delete it if you want to, but we'll be connecting from here right into this bottom part over there. Next, we just need to fix this arrow class. It will be the class that we get from the item. So we get the current fire ammo, current fire item, sorry. We break that. From there, we will break the item. So we're just going to expand this, get it from here. We'll get the HGK item details, break that. And from here, we should be able to get the class, the world class that you've set in the items data table. And that should be your arrow to enable us to pick it up in the world. And then we don't need this node anymore. And that's it. And so we've got a working bow now with arrows you can pick up in the world. Some of the animations you still need to fix on the animation blueprints, but that should be available in how to set up a weapon, those videos. I'll be doing a couple more tutorials on Survival Game Kit as I use it. So if you're interested in any more of this, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks.